Okay, fantastic. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Antonina Markov, and I am the outgoing chair of the Bay Area chapter of Climate Reality Project. And tonight I am thrilled, and I mean it, that we are introducing the Climate Realities Green Schools campaign to the Bay Area and hopefully beyond. To begin with, I want to say a few thank yous. I want to first thank the Coast Miwok, the stewards of the land where I was born and I am speaking from, for sharing their ancestral home with us here in Marin County. Next, I want to thank and introduce you all to Alice Sung, who I am very pleased has stepped up to be our chapter's newly elected chair for Youth Action. And in the words of our incoming chapter co-chair, Taron McGrew, who is here with us tonight as well, Alice is spectacular. Alice has a strong history of working to green schools and is a CRP mentor to youth leaders, some of whom are here this evening. Going forward, Alice will be our chapter's main contact and driving force to get the Green Schools campaign going in the Bay Area, and an ally to and champion of youth. Please reach out to her. She will put her email in the chat. I also want to thank and introduce you all to Michael Zelnicker. There he is, I see it. He is here as well, the co-chair of the Climate Reality Project Los Angeles and co-mastermind behind the Green Schools campaign, along with tonight's incredible speakers. I asked Michael for a little history to share with you. In the spring of 2020, Michael realized that they could and should build on what they had achieved with the LA Unified School District, which was a commitment to 100% green energy. He also realized that advocacy is most potent when young people are the driving force. But at that time, the LA chapter did not have a youth action team. Also at that time, Michael had been talking with Calum Worthy, who has a very large following of young people, about getting more involved. Next, Simon Aron happened to post on the chapter's Instagram page. Michael and Calum invited Simon to jump on Zoom together, and the Youth Action Campaign idea was born. They brainstormed a toolkit strategy and distilled the key ingredients of the LAUSD and LACCD successes. Michael emphasized that while he and Calum offered significant guidance to Simon, and while the Green Schools Handbook is inspired by the Sierra Club Climate Parents Toolkit, Simon took all of this and ran with it to give form to the Green Schools campaign you will hear about tonight. With this, I am honored and delighted to introduce Simon Aron to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Simon Aron. I use he, him pronouns. I'm from Los Angeles on Tongva land. So I am one of the co-founders of Green School Campaign. I'm also a climate justice organizer with Sunrise Movement. Yeah, and so I'm in ninth grade, and I'm really happy to be here today to talk with all of you about the campaign and how you can get involved. And with that, I'll pass it to Lauren.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am I'm the West Coast Region Coordinator for the Green Schools campaign. I go by the pronouns she, her, and yeah, I'm in 12th grade. I'm currently a senior in high school, and I'm also really excited to kind of share what we've been doing so far in the process of the Green Schools campaign.
Yeah, and Calum?
Hi, everyone. My name is Calum Worthy, and I'm also going to use my introduction to give a brief explanation about climate change to some of the people who may be less familiar. I know there's a lot of climate reality leaders who are on this call, but for all of the young activists out there, I just want to make sure that you had an understanding of the crisis that we're dealing with. So I'm just going to share my screen. So I've been an activist since I was in high school. I was inspired by my teacher. Oh, Daisy, my teacher. Oh, Mark Neufeld, who's right there. And he not only taught us about climate change, but he also taught us how to fight for solutions to the crisis. So we started a club called Teens Against Climate Change. And my high school experience as an activist taught me that age isn't a barrier when you want to be a change agent. After high school, for my work as an actor, I got this fan base, and the demographics were elementary school, middle school, and high school. And I saw this as an opportunity to empower and enable change. And that was one of the reasons I actually wanted to work with Disney Channel. So I made it my mission to use my platform to give voice to the next generation of young change agents. And I wanted to empower young activists to see that their cause and passions are interdependent. Global health, climate change, systemic racism, gender inequality, they're all connected. And it's important that we don't isolate these issues and that we actually fight for them together. So I work with Vice President Al Gore's organization, the Climate Reality Project. And this organization trains people from around the world to become climate leaders in their community. As I said, I believe we have a few climate reality leaders on this call right now. So under the Climate Reality Los Angeles umbrella, I helped found the Green Schools campaign with Simon and Michael Zelnicker, which helps students around the world transition their schools to 100% clean renewable energy, which is what we're talking about tonight. So this is a brief overview of the climate crisis. This is, yeah, that was from before. That's the Climate Reality Project. So there's three big questions we need to ask ourselves. Must we change? Can we change? And will we change? So first of all, must we change? Well, the scientific community from all around the world has been telling us for a long time that yes, we must change. And now Mother Nature is also telling us that.
Okay.
Because the thing is, the sky is not this vast, limitless expanse that it appears to be when we look up. In reality, it's just this thin shell of atmosphere surrounding the entire planet. And every day we are putting 152 million tons of man-made global warming pollution into the atmosphere. So just to help you understand what it is, this is the basic science behind global warming. Energy from the sun comes down to the earth in the form of light. That energy is absorbed by the earth and it warms it. And then some of that energy is re-radiated from the earth in the form of heat. And some of that outgoing heat is trapped by the atmosphere, which is actually a good thing because it keeps our planet at a stable temperature. Now, however, we have been thickening the atmosphere by filling it with heat-trapping pollution. And the more heat that's trapped, the warmer our planet gets, and it's at an unprecedented rate. So there's many sources of human-caused global warming pollution, which includes agricultural practices, forest burning, transportation, but the main source and cause of the rising global temperatures we're seeing today is burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuels still provide more than 80% of the world's energy, and fossil fuels use and emissions have gone up dramatically since World War II. And as a result, this pollution is being trapped in the atmosphere, and global temperatures have risen dramatically. So 19 of the 20 hottest years ever measured with instruments that we have occurred since 2001. So on a global basis, more than 90% of all of the extra energy trapped in our atmosphere is going into the oceans. And this heat makes ocean-based storms like hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones stronger and more destructive. And half of the increase in the global ocean heat content has occurred in the last 20 years. So the extra heat also disrupts the water cycle. And the amount of water vapor that evaporates off of the ocean increases the ocean's warmth. And that water vapor is then carried over the land and often falls in much bigger precipitation events. And then when the land can't absorb all the water that falls in these larger storms and downpours, we see floods and mudslides. So sometimes we wonder, how can global warming be blamed for both causing more precipitation and flooding, and at the same time, more drought? Because when you first think about that, that doesn't quite make sense. But the extra heat trapped by rising levels of greenhouse gases actually leads to both. And as the climate changes, precipitation patterns also change. And that leaves some places with less rainfall than before. So higher temperatures also have a direct effect on the frequency and severity of wildfires. And the Department of Defense in the United States has also long warned about the refugee crisis connected to the climate crisis, as well as what we're experiencing, pandemic disease, water shortages, and food shortages. So infectious diseases, heat stress, air pollution, and waterborne diseases are all influenced by climate change. And warmer temperatures also have an impact on the spread of tropical diseases. Modern transportation and air travel play a part, but the potential range for many of these diseases expands as regions farther and farther poleward get warmer. So we're now at risk of losing up to 50% of all land-based species in this century. So of all these threats, including many that we haven't even covered, the fact is that the World Economic Forum has said that climate change is the #1 threat to the global economy. So must we change? I think we can all agree that that answer is yes. But can we change is the next question. Well, the thing is, we actually have the solutions at hand. The growth in the wind energy being built around the world is at an exponential curve. And wind energy could supply 40 times more electricity than the entire world currently uses. And solar energy is an even more amazing story because we're seeing exponential growth in the amount of solar energy being installed around the world. And in many countries where there's no universal electricity grid, we're seeing consumers and businesses actually leapfrogging over old technology and install solar panels in places that have long been denied access to electricity. So every hour, the Earth gets as much energy from the sun as we need to run the entire global economy for a year. So, can we change? Yes. The question is, will we change? I'm very optimistic about the future. We have the solutions. What we need is leadership. But I see leaders in the next generation. And the globalization of technology has allowed young people to grow in a global community. It has helped personalize these issues. Social media means that we're no longer just reading about these global threats, we're actually experiencing these issues firsthand. And this has the potential to create an incredibly compassionate generation. So we have the opportunity to actually put ourselves in other people's shoes in real time. So I'm optimistic because of you. You're informed. You have the courage to speak truth to power. We all have the ability to create massive positive change. So therefore, we all have a responsibility to create massive positive change. So just like our fearless leader says, the will to act is a renewable resource in itself. And now we have to fight like the world depends on it because the world does depend on it.
Thanks so much, Calum. That was really amazing. And so now, I think we're gonna, yeah. Okay. So an introduction for the Bay Area to the Green Schools campaign. So yeah. So first of all, how we started. So it all started in late 2019 when a coalition spearheaded by the Climate Reality LA chapter, including Michael Zelnicker, who's on this call right now, lobbied Los Angeles Unified School District to commit to transitioning to 100% clean renewable energy. And they won. And that's a big deal because LAUSD is the second largest school district in the country. And so we realized that we could use the LAUSD initiative as a template for other schools and districts trying to transition to renewable energy. And so we formed the campaign around that concept. So our progress. We got together a team of students to help us. We launched a campaign video and we were off. We continued to expand. So right now we're working with 18 schools across the planet actively. And so those schools are in touch with local region coordinators who are on the ground in those areas. We'll talk more about that a bit later. So some highlights. So to give some examples of what schools are doing, students in Long Beach met with board members of their public school district. After drafting a resolution, they got 512 signatures. Students in Cadiz, Spain have been working with an EU-sponsored school sustainability program. In Ellicott City, Maryland, students met with their principal and are now in contact with our renewable energy company there, and a lot more. All of these schools have different stories, and they're all doing a really great job.
Okay, so now we wanted to give you guys some insight into what the process is behind the Green Schools campaign. So what happens is first, students find out about us. Maybe we reach out or through Instagram or other means, maybe presentations, and basically they fill out a form on our website, and that pretty much they include information about themselves, and that we use that to connect them with their region coordinator in their area. Region coordinator basically just helps get those students off the ground, and try to help them in their process, set goals and everything. Normally they set up a meeting at the beginning with those students to help them with that. And also the third thing that's really important in the process of the Green Schools campaign is this amazing handbook that we have. And I believe Simon is going to share kind of what the Green Schools handbook is.
Yeah. So here we go. So here is a simple handbook from the Green Schools campaign that we made. So this is, yeah, exactly like Lauren said, it's sort of used as a guide um, for students transitioning. So yeah, so it just starts like really quickly by going over the climate crisis. I'm just gonna like sort of go over this quickly because you can look at it in your own time and it's pretty long. But so talks about the Climate Reality Project. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Thanks. Back. Talks about the Climate Reality Project, and it talks about why schools. So, as the climate crisis worsens, it's young people like us that'll be affected the most, and we're already leading the global fight against climate change. And where we have the most power to make a change is at our own schools, where we're an important constituent. So, green schools save money, it turns out, and obviously they save the planet. 5,500 American schools are already moving to clean renewable energy. Obviously not all of those are ours, but it's like a really encouraging statistic. So now these 16 steps to get your school green. This is like the nitty gritty stuff that these schools follow. It starts with contacting our campaign at a form on our website. And then you set a mission statement. We have a little document there that like uh, allows that to happen. Then we find allies. So you find a peer ally, or maybe multiple. You find adult allies. You find an ally sort of inside the system, like a teacher or administrator. And then also you can try and find local nonprofits or renewable energy groups with similar goals. So you also identify important people. So a lot of this is just like looking things up and trying to find who your decision makers are, who your implementers are, who your facilities person is. So then the following steps could be happening simultaneously. Like these steps aren't perfect and they're not chronological. So after this, it sort of gets like there's sort of a lot of stuff happening at the same time. So you start building understanding of your local renewable energy landscape, your government clean energy incentive programs, your utilities incentive programs if they have them, and we have a tool to help you do that. You determine your renewable energy source. This is really helpful. It's not like like 100% necessary, but sometimes it helps like narrow it down and know what you're talking about. You find renewable energy companies. We also have a tool to help you do that. But that's sort of a first or one of the steps that you can do. You start contacting decision makers. So you reach out to maybe someone on your school board or in your administration who shares your vision, someone that you could get on your side, and you present to them and you share your idea. You meet with facilities. So the usually schools or districts will have like a sustainability director or a facilities manager, and so you meet with them. You listen and learn and see what they have to say. Um, then now your role is to advocate for change. So as we like to say here at the Green Schools Campaign, you specialize in passion, not energy options. Like you don't have to know like the exact watt of like this much solar panel. That's like for the renewable energy companies and the facilities people to work out. But your role is to just make sure they're doing the work. And so that's sort of what this slide is about, is making sure that these people, now that you've set the process in motion, are doing the work. You're also building community support to make sure that they commit, because the facilities are going to be looking into it, renewable energy companies might be looking into it, but you also have to make sure that you're getting community support, especially with environmental justice groups that are like making sure that those groups are behind it, and you're listening to them and making sure that um, that you have their support, and like taking their concerns into account. Then, when you have all that done, you try and get them to actually make the commitment. And so you've got a lot done, and you've built community support, and this is like the moment. Um, we have some tools to help you push leadership, petitions, but also holding town halls, strategic protests, calls and emails. There's lots of things we can do, and you can get creative. But and obviously, like I know probably not many protests during COVID, but yeah. And then you celebrate. You did it. It's a big win. You make sure you celebrate with the whole community. And then you have to set up a task force to make sure that it actually happens. Um, so, and you can always reach out to us the whole time, and your region coordinator will be guiding you through it. And so you stay involved, blah, 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 success stories. So yeah, that is our handbook.
Okay, so basically we've kind of shown you. Oh shoot, let me present that. Whoops. Basically, we've kind of shown you ins and outs of the Green Schools campaign. So now these are kind of like some next steps that you guys can take after. So if you're an adult, please, if you can, reach out to a student, a teacher, or a faculty member who you think might be interested in doing this at their school. Or also, another thing you can do is spread the message of the Green Schools campaign through different networks or communication devices. That would be amazing. Instagram, Facebook, messaging. Um, and also follow us on social media for updates. We have an Instagram and a Twitter, so you can definitely follow those. If you're a student, you can also go to the link below. I think, I don't know if Simon's going to send that in the chat, but it's that will take you to the website, and you'll basically be able to put in your information, be connected with a region coordinator. So, and then this is kind of our contact information. It has our website, our email, our let's see, our Instagram and the Twitter. I believe also Simon sent that in the chat as well. And feel free to take a screenshot of this page if you want. And I believe now we're on to our Q&A. So I don't know if I'll stop sharing that.
I have 3 questions. The first one is, Lauren, are you the contact person for the Bay Area? And if you could maybe in the chat let us know who is. The second question was about, there's a part here that's about making connections with environmental justice orgs. And I'd love to hear stories about how that's gone and any suggestions you have around that, where it's been successful, where it's been hard. And then the last question is just about, like, I've noticed that, we also have connections with people who work for big companies, and a lot of your guidebook could easily be transferable to like any organization that's a large organization, and whether it's okay to use it in that way without taking too much resource from you guys. So that's it.
Okay, I guess I can answer the first question. Yeah, I am the contact person for West Coast area, so that includes the Bay Area as well. I'll be the person helping most of the schools in the area get off the ground. Um, but yeah, I guess Simon, if you want to answer the other questions.
I was going to say, this is Alice. Sorry, I was going to say also, though, we are going to be pulling together the Youth Climate Action Committee, kicking it off next month. So for Bay Area SF chapter members for the Youth Action Committee, we will be discussing first on the agenda coordination with the Green Schools campaign. So even though you can go ahead and sign up and then get coordinated through Lauren and Simon, be sure and let me know. So my email is in the chat, bayareacrl@gmail.com. Thanks.
Yeah. And so I believe the two questions left were environmental justice and what was the third? I'm sorry.
Just using this guideline for other large organizations that our members might be connected with.
Yeah. Okay. So on the environmental justice side of it, I so far like only three places have like actually transitioned, and so a lot of them are like in the process. But and so like I think as for LAUSD, they had. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I know Michael, maybe Caleb or Michael who know more about like that initiative could speak on it. But I think they reached out, and I think that like as for like our schools currently that are reaching out, I think I know of a few schools that have reached out to local EJ groups that and they seem pretty responsive and excited about it, and also like I think
And she's come a long way.
and so yeah, but I also think that like yeah it's I don't really have like that much info on it just because like I haven't really been like involved with the campaigns that have like finished up, and I think but I can like get you more information on that, but
You want me to jump in on this one?
yeah.
So LAUSD was initiated by a couple of leaders in our chapter at a city council meeting, not knowing that the city council actually had no responsibility for our independent school board. LAUSD is the second largest school district in the country. That interaction with a city council member led us to a board member. That board member, Scott Schmerelson, supported the idea immediately. Several of us in the chapter then created a coalition that Simon outlines very well in the toolkit. Because we believe the issues we advocate around are issues of equity and justice, not only environmental ones, recruiting and engaging the support of environmental justice groups here in the Los Angeles area was central to our work. And so I'm not sure that answers all your questions, but the process went on for about 6 months. On December 3rd, 2019, the board voted unanimously to support our resolution, 100% clean renewable energy for electricity by 2030, 100% clean renewable energy on all other like natural gas, like for boilers and HVAC and transportation by 2040. Those timelines are much more ambitious than the city, county, or state. It also led us to be able to take that to LACCD, the community college district here, which is the largest community college district in the country. And they passed a resolution that is even more beautifully written because it was written by facilities people and not by me, because I don't really know much about these things. So anyway, the task force is now completing their work with LAUSD. They're actually taking RFPs now from various solar developers. LACCD is proceeding on their own because their resolution is actually much more binding than the LAUSD one is. But it has created a template for us to now go around and say to people, boy, if LAUSD with 700,000 students and 1,100 schools, the second largest school district in the country, can make this commitment, why not you? Thank you, Simon. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks. So, and then also sorry, I know we don't have like a perfect answer for that, but I hope it sort of helps. And then for the third thing, yes, you can absolutely use whatever part of the handbook you want for free for whatever. That's no problem. So I'm gonna scroll up in the chat here to find the last question that hasn't been answered yet. How is okay, funding. So I think, and then we'll get to Ava, you in a second after we answer the chat questions. But funding wise, I think so. A lot of the funding will just come from like the school district itself, and like all in all, eventually it'll save money. So like that's sort of the pitch. Also, like in some cases, there are grants available to help with it. But yeah, that's definitely like sort of one of the major hurdles, and that's like a lot of it is about how you get the budget and how to make it happen. And so that's like what a lot of the handbook and a lot of the work is revolving around is sort of getting the funding to work out.
I think the main thing to say is that what's really inspiring about this work, and so yeah, kudos to all of you guys. And LAUSD was an incredible success story. I think the main thing to know is that um, the adults are, there to support you, and so there were also other allies and partners working with Climate Reality LA chapter. So Sierra Club's Climate Parents Network, right? Michael was, a big part of that. So there can be lots of local community organizations that can help be partners with you to bring pressure to get this kind of policy action in place. And you don't have to know, just in case that it's a little bit of a barrier, or you're shy about going towards this thing because you're worried about, yeah, how do I, what do I know about renewable energy systems, and how do I get funding that's millions of dollars? You don't necessarily need to think of that as barriers, because what we need is actually the pressure put on by the youth action to partner with the adult allies in groups and individuals, and local, parents are, a big part of your community, to put pressure to actually get the policy change in action. And from there, most of the technical and funding and other aspects, are not necessarily your burden. So don't feel like, shy that you can't solve all those problems at once. So I want to really encourage you guys to just know that you're in good company, and that the handbook is there, and other adult allies with the technical expertise are here to support you in that.
Quickly on the funding side, if I may, the answer you can always revert to is over the life of the system, which is 25 years, that's how long solar modules are warranted to produce energy for. Over the life of the system, the school is going to save money. There is no doubt that a solar installation over the life of its term of production will save money. And that is an answer you can always revert back to when people try and pull the funding card on you.
Hi, I just had a question about whether or not we were supposed to, like, is it a possibility to create a goal just independently for our school, or is it more of like a community goal, like independently for something basically like aiding our school's renewable energy, or like more of our community?
That's a great question. And I don't know, is it Ava? That,
Yeah,
are
same.
you are you in the Bay Area? Or are you in LA, or
Yeah, I'm in the Bay Area. I'm a junior at Woodside High School, if you're familiar.
Nice, yes. So I'm in the Bay Area too, so in the East Bay. But this is actually the question that we're going to be discussing at the first few meetings of the Youth Climate Action Committee, because um, and we actually were just talking about that too, right? Leadership of Green Schools campaign, because we have the opportunity to define what we want to work on and what initiatives we want to instigate ourselves. And so, exactly to your point, we can work on both, and we don't have to choose city, community, or schools or school district. We can actually choose to do both as a committee of our chapter. Green Schools campaign is particular to school districts alone, but since we're in the Bay Area and there already is some 40 cities, municipalities who've already done a lot of work that is in perfect alignment with 100% renewables campaigns and decarbonization of our cities, that it's a perfect place to partner with those cities and our city local government and leadership, to partner with school district leadership to come together and align the policies to move towards carbon neutrality. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for school districts and Green Schools campaign organizations and policies to come together with what's happening in the larger communities sector. So thank you so much for that question. It was
Right. Thank you so much.
perfect. Are there any other questions?
Did we get to everything in the chat? Scroll through.
Yeah, good question, Simon.
Oh, is there a list of all Bay Area schools already engaged? We don't have that pulled up. Lauren, do you know if there are any Bay Area schools right
I believe we don't have any in San Francisco specifically. I know yeah, we have some in Washington. I don't believe in the Bay Area yet. We haven't gotten too many there.
now? It's a blank slate.
Yeah, so lots of opportunity. What that means is you guys, can be the firsts again. And I think if you can build on what the cities have done in their leadership, moving towards decarbonization and clean energy, I think it's just like the perfect alignment. It's like the right year at the right time, right people, you guys at the right place. So I think it's an exciting time.
I just saw a question of what have you learned and what can we learn from the approach of students across the globe and internationally. One of the big takeaways is just understanding that it's truly a global effort, that we're all in this together, and seeing that it's students from across the globe who are coming together to make this happen. That's been very inspiring. It's not so much that I learned that, but it's just that it reinforced that that young people around the globe are rightfully angry, and they feel like their future has been traded for a profit, and they want to fight for the solutions. So that's been just reinforced. And what we've learned is that every school that we've worked with is a little bit different. So there's not a one size fits all, but that's what makes it really exciting, is that you can learn how these different areas work, whether it's countries or municipalities.
Sorry, I just have one more question. I was wondering if you guys had any advice or suggestions for like starting our approach into the project.
My advice would be to find an ally. It's great to get some fellow students involved as well, but it'd be really great to find an adult ally, whether it's a teacher or a parent or someone a part of the school board. That can really help the process, and it's one of the most crucial elements of the whole process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, to add on to that, normally when I have like meetings with people who are just starting off, I normally say just get a team, get people to support you through this, and then just so you're not individually doing it. It really helps when you can delegate work and maybe have someone doing Instagram and maybe someone focusing on doing research, and you can have multiple people working on this together, and then having a lot of allies. I think that's really important to just get started, and then also just starting just trying to lay out your goals beforehand. What do you want to get done first? Normally I just say make a gigantic Google Doc of like just what you want to do first, second, third, reach out to teachers, or maybe potentially meet with a facilities manager, research your school to find out maybe what's this current situation at your school. I know personally, mine at the moment, just to give you some context, you would find that maybe your school already has like a program that they're already like steps to already go towards renewable energy, but maybe it's not 100% renewable energy. They just want to install solar panels. So that's something like you just start with the base set and just get as informed as possible. That's kind of what some advice I normally give.
Thank you also. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Beatrice DM'd me a question. How can we convince our school to put the environment first when it's very focused on COVID right now? Would anyone like to field that? If not, I will. Um, So, yeah, I think that's definitely like a challenge that a lot of schools are facing is that like, I mean, obviously all schools are facing COVID, but like when people come, when, students come up to them with climate, initiative, they'll say, okay, we can't right now because of COVID, which is understandable, but I think like there's still a lot of opportunity during COVID to like connect with people, and create a virtual network, even like because people are more available sometimes, and so like you can really get like a good like foundation sort of going in COVID, even if like some schools won't want, like you either don't have the money to invest in it right now, or don't want to focus on it right now.
And environmental issues are public health issues. And we need to be drawing that connection for people.
And also thinking through, since we've been away from our normal schools for so long, even if we are in classrooms, it looks a little bit different. The big question I think we should all be asking ourselves is what kind of whatever new normal we want to go back to. We don't want to make the mistakes we had before. We want to use this time to make our world better and make our communities better, and that starts at the school.
I would only add that, yeah, that is a really great question, and it is complex. If you think that it's mind-boggling right now, it's equally as complex to all of the school administrators, right, and leadership now. So I don't know that we can answer that right now, but I think that in the coming months, all I can say is that there is actually work at the state government and actually also at the federal level. Uh, to actually find funding to help schools in reopening and reopening with uh, health and safety in mind. So as you know, there's a large infrastructure bill going through the federal process right now, and there is a bill called 840 AB 841, which was signed into law by the governor a while ago, and it is now being uh, uh, implemented, crafted by the California Energy Commission. And there's some funding for some upgrades and repair for with a focus on ventilation, heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems for the safe reopening and a little bit of energy efficiency. So there is some funding coming from the state. We just have to wait to see how that program rolls out. So there's just a lot of action. I think balls and wheels are just starting to roll now with the new administration from the top down. So I think I'm hoping to actually advise you guys all of what else is happening funding wise coming down the pike, where we can actually align our efforts, and it should make it easier to actually, at least for the school administrators, to be able to address both COVID and environmental climate change action like we're talking about. So hopefully that's good news.
And I'd like to add a to connect back to the question about environmental justice being another link to COVID, because there are many communities that we understand and we know are much harder hit because of other health issues that have to do with the lack of environmental justice, and the fact, certainly in Los Angeles, it's very apparent that our communicate communities that are next to oil wells, or where there's methane leaks and things like that, have a higher risk for adverse effects of COVID. So to be able to make those links as well. In addition, the things that are being talked about both in Northern California and Southern California in terms of the air quality and air quality management districts has to do with the NOx pollution from methane, and the use of gas appliances in the home, and as which also applies to school, and the specifically significant impact that it has on young people and childhood development. So I think it's a really powerful way to draw all those connections, and and has been said, ask, I think, as Calum said, what do we want to what world do we want to create after COVID? Not go back to the previous world that was allowed COVID to impact us so strongly.
I think that's a great point. And I was going to say, Antonina, thank you for bringing that up. And also to say that there are also potential great partnerships with many local environmental justice organizations, and of which there are many in the Bay Area, to join hands with, and local CBOs. So, a couple of those right off the bat are APEN and Emerald Cities Collaborative. I think that certainly the larger ones like Sierra Club also have strong components to come from environmental justice, and join hands with the health and health science professionals sector to put pressure on the leadership. And to be honest, that's one of the strategies that I think that the schools also took. I mean, the cities also took, that the schools can learn from, right? In coming together to actually then put pressure for all of the benefits on their local government leadership, which is something that, the youth, you don't know how powerful you are. And maybe Callum can also speak to this, and Michael can speak to this. Really, when you guys organize yourselves and come together with all of these partners in all aspects, it is extremely powerful.
I don't know how it works at your local school districts, but I can tell you at LAUSD at the board meetings, anyone who got up and spoke was given 2 to 3 minutes time limit. Students were given unlimited time. So there is a respect shown, at least in appearance, given to students. And so as we put together our coalition of EJ groups and other environmental organizations and parent-teacher organizations and the teachers union here, all the various constituents that can pay influence around an elected school board member, as we put that coalition together, we also Sybil and I went to many individual schools all around the city, recruiting individual schools. So Ava, when you ask, is it worthwhile trying to put something together in your local school? The answer is absolutely yes. It's not one or the other, as Alice said. It's both. So anyway, I'll pass it to someone else.
Oh, just to touch on what we were discussing in terms of like young people having power. You also know how to utilize technology as well to organize, and that's a powerful tool. I think sometimes we can look at social media and uh, think of it as think kind of negatively on it, but it can also be a powerful weapon in a fight to create real change. And I think it's important for us to utilize that as well. And from my experience, yeah, to reiterate what everyone has said, yes, the youth have so much power, and people listen. Elected officials listen, and the community listens when the youth rises up together. And if you look back at a lot of the big movements that have happened over the past 50 years, a lot of them have been youth led, and there's tremendous power to that. And this is your movement, and this is your moment.
And the fact that you're here tonight speaks volumes to your commitment. So, this is an opportunity just to begin to build. I see there's a question about our Instagram and social media. We have a really effective communications team. Our Instagram is led by an amazing woman named Lois Keller. I'm going to pass her all kudos. I don't know how she does it. I can barely touch social media. So, kudos to Lois, and I'll leave it to her. I'm sure if you have any questions concerning that specifically, direct them to me. I put my email in the chat, and I'll pass them on to Lois.
Well, I want to say one of the great social media moments I saw, I think it was on the Instagram, was when, and I know Simon did this, 6 young people got on a Zoom together and were riding exercise bikes and exercising together and talking about energy. I forget, it was like over a holiday or something, and it was just the way, it's not just that it's done, but the way it's done, and it's is really engaging and fun and inventive. And yeah, kudos to everybody involved. And I think it definitely is something to feel connected to.
I also just wanted to like say thank you to everybody who's like organized this, because I feel like in our community it's kind of hard to like find ways to actually like make impact regarding our environment. And I know a lot of students, including myself, like really want to, pursue change, but I feel like it's really hard to like find the outlets for that if you aren't like in an environmental science class or whatsoever. So this is really helpful. Thank you.
Looks like there's one more question in the chat.
Calum's real Instagram handle is at Calum Worthy. You want to follow him.
Yeah, there was a couple.
It's the one with more than 2 million followers.
At one point, someone had a copycat of mine, and they were doing way better than me on followers. And it made me realize that I'm just not very good at Instagram.
But Simon is.
Oh, oops, sorry, I sent it to.
This is how Simon found us, through Instagram. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's the platform of the future. Also owned by Facebook, which is, but anyone else have questions?
I just want to shout out to all the Las Gatos high school students, and woohoo, there's Harry, who came to this meeting. Fabulous foursome: Dylan, Crystal, Beatrice, Lani.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's joined this call, and a special shout out to all of the young activists that have shown up, because it's truly what keeps myself, and I think a lot of people in the environmental movement optimistic, is because of you. You are the future, and you are the leaders, and this is what we're fighting for. And based on the kinds of action I've seen this next generation take, I have no doubt that we will solve this. I really believe in all of you.
And I just want to say, I've looked, as I said in the beginning, I look forward so much to having you guys. As soon as I, discovered your campaign, and I think it was a webinar maybe that the Climate Reality Project that you put on for the Climate Reality Project somehow. But I totally, second that, and it really gives me hope, but it gives me hope in the sense that, for that to happen, we all have to support you guys, 1,000%, and in every way, we can, and is, part of doing it. But also it's the, the energy, enthusiasm, and it's also the, the invention of, you know, great ways to do things. If you find a roadblock, you go around it. It, or or you invent something out of it that catapults you forward, and it's great. And the other thing that I think is really important for everybody on this call, what you've created is a community, and uh, and the most important thing in all of this, I think, is, feeling you're part of something. I think is, as Ava said, you know, um, figuring out what to do, who to do it with, that, you want to do something, but maybe you don't find a place to fit in. I think what you guys have created is, an opportunity just to say, hey, I'm here, I'm interested, let's figure out what I can do. Because one person in a school district or in a community or anywhere can, can work with this. And I think it's also the your handbook toolkit is brilliant, because first time I read through it, I just thought, wow, this is the clearest thing I've ever read. It's like, you know, just just all so, so simple but so powerful.
Yeah,
So
very,
really, really thank you guys.
yeah, thanks Green Schools Campaign. And there's more resources to come through Youth Action Committee, so stay tuned. You all are going to get an invitation when we figure out what time we can all meet. I may have to send out a poll because there's a lot of us, and so coordinating the best times might take a little bit, but um, stay with us. And thanks again for coming tonight.
Yeah, and thank you so much to the Bay Area climate reality leaders who hosted us and made this happen. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Us too. Thank
Thank
All the
you.
best.
Good night.
Good night.